Support for this podcast comes from the St. Alphonsus Neuroscience Institute, offering technology to provide treatment for neurological, neurosurgical, and neurointerventional conditions. This includes a dedicated neurotrauma ICU for critical care of the brain or spine and a 24/7 stroke team. More at stalphonsus.org.
Since Boise State Public Radio was founded, students have been an integral part of day-to-day operations.
Hi, I'm Jackson Holmes, and I'm an intern in the Boise State Public Radio newsroom. I've spent my time developing important skills like writing for audio, editing tape, and conducting interviews. Working at BSPR has given me the unique opportunity to hone skills and build connections that will carry me into my career.
Learn more and support at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector. It's Idaho's Daily News. Good morning. I'm George Prentice. At the Capitol, an emotional debate over the plant-derived stimulant Kratum, plus a bill that puts a time on the length of recess in public schools. It is Friday, the 27th of February. Here we go with today's stories. This week on this podcast, we've been reporting about a last-ditch effort to save ACT, the Assertive Community Treatment Program, which was gutted in cuts to Idaho's Medicaid services. ACT was critical for Idahoans with severe mental illness. The program came to those patients' homes, keeping them stabilized and, most importantly, keeping them from emergency rooms or even jails. In that shadow, 3 Idahoans who depended on that program have died since the program was curtailed. Rachel Sun is with Northwest Public Broadcasting.
Another person who was served by Idaho's Assertive Community Treatment, or ACT program, died this month in the Boise area. 2 other people have died since the cuts. ACT is a program that has been in place for decades and allowed mental health providers and nurses to travel to meet with patients in their community. That part of the program was cut in December. Stephen Wegg is a former administrator at Idaho State Hospital South, a psychiatric inpatient hospital. He says ACT gave patients stability to be safely discharged back into the community.
Folks who would come to the hospital under a mental health commitment because they were a danger to self or others, were there because of serious hallucinations.
Wegg says without ACT's outreach, he worries those individuals will once again pose a greater risk to themselves or others. I'm Rachel Sun reporting.
On Thursday at the Statehouse, significantly different viewpoints and even some tears in the debate over Kratum, the plant-derived stimulant, with analysts estimating the market in the U.S. to be over $1 billion. Senate Bill 1282 calls for greater regulation over synthetic kratom, but it would also preserve access to natural kratom products. The sponsor is GOP Senator Tammy Nichols.
In simple terms, kratom is typically consumed as a ground leaf powder mixed into a drink or taken in a capsule form, similar to many other plant-based supplements. Why do people use kratom? Well, people report using kratom for a wide range of personal reasons, including energy and alertness, focus and productivity, stress management and relaxation, physical comfort and general wellness, and for some as part of an effort to reduce or move away from opioid use.
There were a number of people testifying in favor of the measure, many of them in the business of selling kratom. But then there were parents, Tia and Ryan, who also came before lawmakers on this, the 1-year anniversary of the death of their daughter, Kylie.
She died by taking a leaf because they were selling it as a natural product. And I actually went, after she died, I went to the same store and recorded a video of what transpired and what the salespeople are saying. They're saying the same thing. It's a natural product. Nobody ever died from it.
She was only 23. Because she was so young, they had to do an investigation. She used kratom, natural kratom power. She believed it was safe to use for pain, because that's how the industry markets it. She was not using extracts or 7-OH products. The leaf itself killed her. But I know what it's like to stand in my daughter's empty room and wonder how something sold as a natural herb destroyed her life.
Renaissance Recovery is an association of addiction and mental health treatment centers, and they surveyed Idahoans. They said 43% wanted Kratom banned outright, and just over a quarter said they would prefer that Kratom be sold like alcohol through licensed sellers and away from young people. Also at the Capitol on Thursday, a bill concerning recess at Idaho public schools from a legislator who admits that he homeschools his children. GOP Representative Jordan Redmond from Kootenai County says Idaho public elementary and middle schools should be required to have recess or unstructured time, even though he couldn't point to any school that was currently not providing recess.
In this bill, we have at least 20 minutes given. Obviously, they can do more if a school district chooses, and no withholding for disciplinary reasons. Oftentimes, if there is a behavior, not allowing that child to go to recess can just continue those different behaviors.
GOP Representative Jack Nelson said that when it comes to something like recess, he didn't like the state telling local school districts what to do and when to do it.
My biggest heartburn is the stopwatch. It has to be 20 minutes. And I realize you've got some flexibility built in here, but my heartburn is simply telling local districts exactly what they have to do.
And Democratic Representative Sonia Galaviz, a public school teacher, said there was often a reason that some kids should not immediately just run out to recess.
If we have a student that has made maybe some poor choices out at recess, fights, otherwise, and the natural consequence is to redirect some of that energy and choices going forward by providing an alternative situation related to disciplinary and the consequences that came from it. I worry that this may put us in a little bit of a box.
All that said, the House Education Committee yesterday did agree to give the proposal a full public hearing. Another 10 cities in Idaho would be forced to elect their city council members in districts. That under a bill now heading to the House floor. The measure already applies to cities like Boise with a population more than 100,000, and that threshold would be lowered to 25,000. Republican Representative Joe Alfieri sponsors the bill.
If you've got a problem you want to talk to the city about, your council members are at large. You don't know who to talk to. You don't actually have local representation.
The Association of Idaho Cities testified against the bill, saying it would be an unfunded burden on smaller cities who would have to change the way they run their elections. Alfieri's bill passed unanimously out of committee. Now, speaking of elections, today, specifically later today at 5 p.m., will be the deadline for state candidates, which is to say candidates for the Idaho House or Senate and any candidate for statewide office, to officially file their candidacy. And this year that's happening online at voteidaho.gov. Things will button up at 5 p.m. today. Then, beginning on Monday, candidates for local and county offices will need to file, and that filing period will extend to March the 13th. And that is today's episode of The Connector. I'm George Prentice. Don't forget, every Friday at noon, our Reporter Roundtable on Idaho Matters, bringing you up to date on the news that made all the headlines around our state and the region this week. I'll be back with you on Monday. Thanks for listening.
Hi, it's Terry Gross, host of Fresh Air. Hey, take a break from the 24-hour news cycle with us and listen to long-form interviews with your favorite authors, actors, filmmakers, comedians, and musicians, the people making the art that nourishes us and speaks to our times. So listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.